Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
Let's get straight to it. I want to discuss about UFC 211. It is a fight card which it had the makings of some fantastic bouts, and it pulled off some great results for people, and it was just end-to-end entertainment, really, from the start to the finish. There's a couple of bouts there's one bout really that you won't want to talk about, which I'm not going to, which is Branch against Jotko. We'll all forget that fight. It was a shame that fight what happened like that. But anyway, I want to talk about one fighter in the prelims, which was Courtney Casey. That girl has come on leaps and bounds. She made her debut in a short notice fight against Joanne Calderwood. I was there at the event in Glasgow watching that. It was an incredible fight. She came on, she really brought it to Joanne Calderwood, who fought a mental battle in that game to come back and get the win against Courtney Casey. And then since then, Courtney Casey's just said no. She hasn't said no to anyone. She steps in and she keeps growing. She keeps evolving. Her hands, her straight punches were beautiful. The combination she was thrown, the numbers, the volume on the ground, off her back, what she was doing with her feet, with the up kicks and push kicks and heel kicks, was a masterclass. It was Jessica I know Jessica had been out for a while with an injury, etc. And, you know, we do take that into consideration. But if you think about it, Courtney Casey just kept her away, kept her at bay from getting the grappling exchanges in with those kicks to the knee, kicks to the thigh, just chopping, and then up kicks which landed several times and definitely rocked Jessica. You know, I think Courtney Casey really is starting to come as a full-rounded martial artist in the strawweight division who's really going to push for a top four kind of ranked girl, and she's going to get a great matchup next. But that was a fight you need to definitely tune in for if you haven't already. Another guy who impressed, in fact, to be fair, I kind of assumed he was going to win, if I'm honest with you. I did predict it. So you had James Vick against Marco Polo Reyes. And Reyes is game, he's a game guy, but man, James Vick, ladies and gentlemen, he is on fire. He had that one loss to Beneil Dariush, and look, Beneil is no joke, okay? And James Vick, since then, you know, he's just going strength to strength. He's getting better and better and better. And he's a scary dude in this lightweight division. He's a force that people don't want to get matched up with. And I'll see people saying no, but there's not a lot of guys who call James Vick out. James Vick wants anyone, anytime. He's wanting to step in as a short notice replacement for Michael Chiesa and Kevin Lee if one of those two guys drop out, which is a very smart move from James Vick. It gives him opportunity to get a ranked guy. It's a good fight for either one of those guys if that were to happen, but I would actually like to see Chiesa and Kevin Lee after the bust-up and the controversial discussion they had at the press conference the day before the event. It was blown out a bit of context, but albeit, it happened. And so James Vick, he put on a great performance. He's doing what he needs to do to really fly up those lightweight ranks, because remember, the lightweight division is so stacked. You have to clock off 3, 4, 5 wins to really even get yourself pushing for a top 15 ranked guy, because there's that many guys in the division. So beautiful performance. Bit of I won't say surprise. Chase Sermon stepping in, he was 0-2 in the heavyweight division against Rashad Coulter, who came in short notice, stepped in short notice to face Chase, and you know, Chase in the first round, boom, leg kicks landed, beautiful, just kept that range. Long dude, 6'4", big long legs, big long arms, just bang, pop up, kept the range where he needed to be, because Rashad was a shorter dude, was coming in with the big swings, like the big overhands to try and get over those, to try and cut through the defense with the kind of hooks and stuff. So we need to close that range. Wasn't working for him. You could see the leg kicks were taking a huge toll on Rashad. He was literally buckling underneath that kind of power that Chase was letting rip on his legs. But the thing was, Chase didn't proceed on that. He didn't stick at it. He's then started to think, okay, I've taken out your standing leg, your front leg, where you can plant your foot down and throw the power or shoot in for a double, etc. And now I'm just going to strike with you. And he then went into Rashad's range, and Rashad clipped Chase Sermon, and Chase Sermon got rocked. He was on chicken dance, and the pair of them were just rocked, and the pair of them just literally went out for war on each other. And it didn't have to be that way for Chase, you know. I know he likes to say, I like to come, I like to fight. It's great, but at the same time, you could have won that fight by picking him off and leg kicking him all day long, and then would have got the win. Easy, easy. But Chase pulls away with the victory. He got the win with a lovely elbow, you know, smashing elbow over the top. Just, you know, they're both exhausted, both tired, and he just came over. This elbow just met the chin, and it was more of a case of Rashad it just took a toll. Just took a toll that whole fight, and he went down. But that was a heck of a heavyweight battle that ended up with a stoppage. Frankie Edgar. No, not Frankie Edgar. Sorry, I'm only going to the main card yet. Sorry. I'm going to go to Jason Knight and Chase Skelly. I said this is potential to be fight of the night. I was one of my favourite fights that got made up on this card. Jason Knight is a guy who I was speaking with before the UFC days. Great guy, great character. Training with Alan Belcher, and his jiu-jitsu is deadly. The guy links up his jiu-jitsu well. He's very tight, very, very technical guy. But on the feet, his Muay Thai is just relentless. His striking, he doesn't care. He will take a punch to throw a punch. And he can take a hit too. And at first I was a bit worried, you know, he was getting clipped a couple of times because he was over anxious trying to get those shots in. And eventually, you know, when he got to the ground, Chase Skelly on top, he just didn't give Chase a moment. Just attack, broke Chase Skelly's arm. We don't know. We think maybe in the first round with the submission attempts that Jason Knight had, from what Jason Knight said. And then, gosh, wow. Well, got to the third round, and I think it just took a toll. And Chase Skelly, you know, it just took a bit of a toll, and he got caught. He got caught by a barrage from Jason Knight, and he just got finished. And if I'm honest with you, Jason Knight is going to cause a storm in that featherweight division. You know, in the rankings when he gets those matchups that I feel he definitely deserves now. He should be getting a bit of a push and a bit of promotion, just like James Vick. You know, it's a shame that James Vick went on the mic to ask for his own promotion to promote him as a fighter, but that's the UFC for you. You know, it's a shame that they don't do it. They don't look at each individual. They kind of just pick a couple and try to make as much milk each person they can at the time. But hey, look, so new owners will. I'm sure there'll be a discussion made in that. But then the headline act for the prelims, which was Dustin Poirier and Eddie Alvarez. It was a big time for Eddie Alvarez, you know, after the fight against Conor McGregor. There was a lot of question marks. You know, what was that performance? Was it just a one-off? Did he just let Conor get to him? In this fight, you know, Dustin Poirier and Eddie Alvarez, they weren't smack talking. They were very respectful. And Dustin Poirier, you know, he come in and damn, Poirier looked legit. Like, looked so good. So good. Like, his hands, those straights just popping off. Just, I don't know if it was the stances, you know, the fact that Poirier and Eddie, the stances were just countering each other or something, but Poirier just was landing at will. It was beautiful strikes. Eddie Alvarez was getting lit up. His eye was busted up, and then it comes to the second round, and you know, Eddie Alvarez got rocked where the point where you thought it could potentially be over, and Dustin Poirier overcommitted. A lot of guys do it. It's really frustrating, you know, to watch it, because I think stay out that range. Just keep you straight. You had the range already. Just keep Eddie against the cage. Just pop, step out, pop, and you could finish that fight. But what he wasn't doing this. He kept coming in closer. Eddie got a bit of a clipping on him, and a pair of them were wobbled then. Now, he had Dustin Poirier against the cage, and this is where the controversy comes in. And this is where the discussion comes along. So there was Eddie Alvarez had his body over the top of Dustin's back to stop him standing up straight. And Dustin had his hands, had one hand down. The other hand was kind of blocking the head, body, just kind of floating around a little bit. First knee gets thrown. Legal knee, didn't really do much damage, didn't really land properly. The second knee, you could clearly see that Dustin Poirier's hand was down, but when the second knee landed, it kind of lifted Dustin's hand off the ground, and that hit the glove. Again, there wasn't straight contact to the head. It would have sucked. But then third knee, Dustin Poirier, you know, was being very sensible for, I need to drop to my knee, stop the knees to the head to get my opportunity to come back up again in a safe manner. he didn't get the opportunity. Eddie just threw this knee at Dustin, straight to the head, and just rocked him, put him on Queer Street. It was clear it was illegal, and then Dustin couldn't carry on because he was a bit rocked. Let's put it that way, and the fight ended. Now, we didn't know how the fight was going to be called. Like the law states, grounded opponent, you knee him in the head, and that is a disqualification. DQ, illegal strike to a grounded opponent. But Herb Dean decided that it was a no contest because it was an unintentional knee to a downed opponent. And there's many letters of the law because he said that Eddie Alvarez didn't know that he didn't know Dustin was down. He said he threw the knee intentionally to aim and strike him in the head, but not knowing he was down. You couldn't see that Dustin was down because his head was over the body. Oh, sorry. His head was over the body, so the body and the legs, there was no view, there was no way you could see it. Rush of the blood, the moment, everything takes you, the noise, you can't hear the ref possibly, everything going on. It was a bit of a wild one. Everyone's kind of contesting how this goes down, all the rules, because Texas didn't adopt the new regulations, and if they adopted the new regulations, it technically was a legal knee. The first two, but the second one wouldn't because his knee was down. But there was a lot going on with that, and this is when Brian Stan says we need to sort this out, and also instant replays. I believe instant replays are a must. They should have come in a while back. It's very simple. And they should be used in certain circumstances. Something like this, something like a controversial blow, is something that you can do because an opponent gets 5 minutes to recover, whether it be a groin shot, whether it be an illegal strike to their head, back of their head, illegal knee, etc., whatever it is. Because there's 5 minutes for an opponent to recover, that's more than sufficient time to go to a video on the big screen, to review it, and then come back with a decision. You could do that within 30 seconds tops, and you could do that and carry on the fight. If, for example, you say, nope, that's fine, that's okay, we'll carry on. Gegard Mousasi and Chris Weidman, for example. But they don't at the moment, they don't have that in place. It looks like they're maybe going to try and sort this out. It's something they should have done a long time ago. It's something that can be easily rectified. They do it in the NFL, they do it in rugby league, they do it in rugby, they do it in all sorts of sports, tennis, etc. It's something that can be done. Doesn't take very long to do, and it can definitely clean up the sport a bit more in the sense of it gives the referee a support network, because in the cage, as much as we love watching it and we can see something, the referee can only stand in one place at one time, where we have certain camera angles. We have 3 or 4 different camera angles. Now, it's really hard for a referee to get in the right place at the right time because of the way the fighters move sometimes, or sometimes the action isn't where he's standing. It can go wrong. So it's not the referee's fault. This is, to a point, to an extent, there's only so much the referee can do. And I think it's something for a referee, they need this to happen. I certainly feel that they need that to go and be put into place. But Dustin Poirier is going to fight the decision and have it as a W. He went to commission, and it's not because of the fight. It's just he wants the win bonus, and this is when the flawed kind of structure of pay the UFC has. They've had it for so long. They need to change it. They need to get with the times where if you earn 10,000, your win bonus can be 10,000. Not everyone gets a win, because if you're getting $500,000, they sometimes just cap it at that. I believe Bisping's that. I think he's more pay-per-view numbers, etc. But a lot of folks, if they're in the high range, they don't get the win bonus the same amount. But it's one where that should be happening. The guys should be getting paid. I feel that if, say, Dustin's on 40,000 and he has to win to get 80, I don't know why they don't try and negotiate and say, look, we'll do 60. We'll straight away, everyone who's on it, whatever they're on, like a win and a loss, maybe instead of doubling it, half that kind of win bonus and say, okay, that'll be a flat fee. Okay, so so if they have 3 fights and they lose all 3, at least they're still getting paid that bit extra. They don't have to think about the win bonus, because it takes a lot. It costs money to go through camps, etc. And if you're relying on that win bonus and you don't get it, and because if a judge fucks you over, it's not on. It is certainly not on. So I went on a little bit about this bout because little things to come off it, but it's certainly worth talking about. I'll go now to Frankie Edgar against Yair Rodriguez after I hydrate my mouth. H2O people. Okay, so Frankie Edgar, Yari Rodriguez was a huge fight in the featherweight division because Yari Rodriguez, he's a superstar in the making. He's so wild, he's flash, he's fun to watch. Frankie Edgar lost to Jose Aldo, just couldn't, he just keeps falling short of that title. And finally, people were thinking, it's probably done, he's getting on a bit. Nope. Frankie Edgar showed why he is one badass guy who you cannot count out for a second. He went in there and did exactly what he was meant to do. Dominate. He out-grappled Yari Rodriguez, got him down with significant ease, so to speak, and then just pounded him down, beat him into meat paste. And Yari got this huge swelling on the eye in the first round. And in the second round, same thing again, went to the corner, doctor stoppage. He probably couldn't see out the eye, to be brutally honest with you. They stopped the fight and the fight was over. It was a masterclass from Frankie. He knew he had to close the range. He knew that Yari had this wild, crazy kicks, and he didn't give him a chance to do it. And that's exactly the way a fighter should fight. Just because he has those wild stuff doesn't mean you have to try and prove that you can stand in front of it and dodge it or miss it and counter it. No, if you're going to be a stronger grappler and you're going to have better ground and pound and you're going to be awesome on top, do that. Don't be stupid and go toe to toe with someone who maybe has a superior maybe reach or kicks or technical ability in that field. Don't waste your time. Just get your win. And he did it. And he's now... It's going to be hard to sell for Jose Aldo and Frankie Edgar free. But if Max Holloway wins, it's an easier sell for the UFC. I don't know how they're going to do it if Aldo defends his belt against... Well, if Aldo can beat Max Holloway... You kind of want Holloway to win, so that opens up a bit more of a new direction for the featherweight division. And then you never know. Aldo might say, right, I'm going to 155 now. But we'll see on that one. I can't decide if that's going to happen. But Damian Maia and Jorge Masvidal, I think everyone now feels their pain for Damian Maia, because this guy sitting on the bench waiting for the title shot. UFC said, you've got to fight, you stay active. And he said, okay, I'll do it. Puts everything on the line to risk losing a title shot against Jorge Masvidal, who in the 170 division is just a different animal. Absolutely different animal. He looks more confident. He looks better. He looks smoother. He's finally come into his own. And he's looking at a great addition to this welterweight class. And he is fighting a guy, Damian Maia, who doesn't get hit. In his past, say, I think it was like 6 fights or something, he hardly gets touched. He has a very smart technique at closing the cage, very good craftsmanship on that, closing that cage, closing that distance, just coming in with a couple of strikes, just shoot in to take you down and get you down. And when you're down, it's very hard to get back up again. Even if you do get up, as Jorge Masvidal found out, he becomes a backpack and he just sits on you, and then it drains you. It drains life out of you. Now, don't get me wrong, Jorge Masvidal hit Damian Maia a lot more than a lot of other guys have. But that toll of defending took a lot out of Jorge Masvidal. And by the third round, he just couldn't, even though he wasn't getting submitted by Damian Maia, and Damian Maia said he's probably the best grappler he's had against, because Jorge Masvidal did fantastic a lot of times, did a lot of things right. He just couldn't stop Damian Maia. Damian Maia just always had that little bit more on the grappling. He probably had a lot more, but in the fight, he was always just that little bit ahead. And he got the win. He got a decision win, and that's enough for Damian Maia to, in my heart, and I think everyone else's heart, deserve that title shot. You have Tyron Woodley, who suddenly comes out of the woodwork on the Monday, because Dana White said, that he deserves a title shot. Damian Maia's getting the next title shot, and Woodley, I'll be honest with you, a bit of a prick move. Said no. George St. Pierre and Nick Diaz are more appealing at the moment for me, because obviously George St. Pierre is not fighting Michael Bisping now. Bisping's fighting Yoel Romero, because thankfully they're not putting the middleweight division on hold for nearly basically a year, which was a dumb move for them to let George come back and not give a date and then say near the end of the year. If you're Damian Maia, what do you think? He's getting a little bit old. He can't sit there and wait another, say, 6 months. You don't know when because we don't know if Tyron Woodley goes into the next bout and was to get injured, or if he loses and then there's a rematch. It's not fair on Damian Maia to have to fight again. He's 7 7-fight win streak in the welterweight division. No one else is doing that. No one else has done it. You know, and he needs, against top guys. Damian Maia, give him that title shot, Dana. Do not even think about giving Tyron Woodley anyone else. You know, if I'm honest with you, I want George St. Pierre to fight Nick Diaz. I don't want to fight Tyron Woodley. I want them two to fight. Or Anderson Silva. I don't care. I'd like to see that fight myself, but that's just my opinion. Let's go to the co-main event. Woo. Ladies and gentlemen, Joanna Jedrzejczyk taking on Jessica Andrade. This was potentially the most dangerous fight for her in a striking manner, because as much as Claudia Gadelha is a great grappler and a submission artist, her striking still growing, still developing. On the feet, there's no one who hits like this girl, Jessica. And he can take a hit. Like you saw in the Angela Hill fight, she would take a strike, but she just keeps coming forward. And that's what she did in this fight. She was a relentless, robotic monster against Joanna Jedrzejczyk. She just kept coming forward, eating everything that Joanna threw at her. But Joanna had a great game plan. You know, she said she clearly was not willing to keep her back against the cage like a lot of girls do. They get pinned against Jessica and they keep her back there. She knew her rings, her space, her awareness, and whenever she got close to that cage, before she got to it, most of the time, she would cut the angle across. But when she was cutting the angle, what she was doing was she was throwing that strike to get the defense and stop the momentum of Jessica for that moment for her to throw the strike, stop the movement, and then go. And now that she gets out the angle, then she can start to throw a couple more shots as she keeps circling, and then it's open field again, and she can start to move around. She ate the leg up of Jessica Andrade in a fantastic theory, in a great manner, to slow her down a little bit, to take away the power penetration of any takedowns she shoots in for. At the very start of the fight, Jessica got that power in to get the takedowns, but as the later rounds went on, you saw it wasn't happening. And Joanna was able to get up. Her striking, like I said before, was fantastic from Joanna. She just kept throwing those straights, those 1-2s, those jabs, bodies, everything, just mixing it up. The head kicks, leg kicks, body kicks. It was just constant. When they clinched, oh my gosh, the amount of times that Joanna would throw a knee to the body, or she'd throw a short elbow, just kept piling those shots up. She threw, I think she threw the most significant strikes landed in a title fight, man or woman, sort of like 225 or something like that. This girl is phenomenal. Tactical machine, just a beautiful art form that was. I don't know who she'll fight next. I don't know what they'll do with her next. I don't care right now. All I want to do is bask in the glory of that wonderful performance. Jessica Andrade, she has got leaps and bounds, okay, of development to come in the sense of cage craftsmanship. So next time, if she were to fight Joanna again, stopping her, getting those angles away, you know, figuring a way to stop that happening, checking those leg kicks so that in the latter rounds, she does have that power and that pace to penetrate in for a double leg if she wishes to do so, or even to close the gap with speed rather than trying, you know, she slows down a little bit, and that little bit of slowing down gives a big difference. But it's a big opportunity for Joanna Jedrzejczyk to go on and match Ronda Rousey's title defenses and then surpass it. Okay, I can't see anyone beating her still. There's no one in that division, I think, that's quite close enough yet. Now that Joanna's got that defense, that takedown defense, and getting up, the scrambling up, so much better being at ATT. It's scary, and she's only getting better with that. She keeps learning, keeps growing with that. Yeah, super stoked for that. She's probably going to fight Rose Namajunas, but if she does fight that fight, her only worry would be the grappling exchanges that Rose can do, because she's wild with her grappling, wild with her submission. She'll go for crazy ones, and she doesn't care. She'll go all out for it. So that's the only thing you have. You know, jits is the next thing. If she's going to fight Rose, definitely focus on the jits defense. If she can cut that out, nullify that, her striking will definitely bother Rose. Let's go to main event, which is Stipe Miocic against Junior Santos, the rematch. I said it to a couple of people. We were talking about this fight coming up, and I thought the last one was a 5-round war. It was. They just went at each other. They took 10, 20 years out of each other. They beat the snot out of each other. There was no way they could do that again. It would be silly for both of the parties to do that again, and I think they knew that. Junior Santos was a more mature fighter coming in. He was pacing himself recently a lot better. Wasn't trying to exchange and stand and bang. He was being very smart with his boxing, footwork, angles, movements, just picking guys apart. Stipe, though, he went into this fight, champion, going for defending it twice to match, Brock Lesnar and Cain Velasquez equaling those kind of guys, and he finished guys in first round knockouts, and you had this fight where you thought 5 rounds, okay, let's go. Straight away, 2 leg kicks into it from Junior Santos, and Stipe's on queer street with that leg. He wobbling around, he can't put his foot down, he plant it properly. You saw it affected him. You thought, damn, he's got to fight 5 more rounds and avoid another 3 or 4 leg kicks of that quality. And he did, he was very smart. He definitely knew that he didn't have 5 rounds of taking them leg kicks in him. So what did he do? He did the smart thing. He charged down Junior Santos with combinations and got Junior Santos to the cage. And when he got him there, he just kept throwing the combinations. Now, Junior Santos got away a couple of times, but then eventually, Junior Santos just couldn't. He wasn't going at the same pace as Stipe. If you watch the two of them in that fight, Junior Santos had a plan. They had a tactical plan for 5-round fight, and they were just going to pick away, and then finish Stipe in the latter rounds. That was the goal. Pace it, take your time, don't rush yourself. Land those leg kicks, couple of strikes, etc. Just pace it. When Stipe stepped that up in the first round, and he just went after him, and he just went throwing, Junior never brought himself up to that kind of pace and level to maybe get out there and run around faster, maybe throw combinations more. He just didn't. He just kept trying to stick to his game plan of this pace. Stipe's just overwhelmed him. Stipe overwhelmed him. Got the shot in. Right hand, and also that right hand he landed. He didn't just throw a 1-2. When he threw the left, he stepped around to land it. So what happened was the hip alignment changed. So where the hips are facing each other here, he just took it across away. It was not a huge movement, but it was a slight movement to get his shoulder and his right foot, everything, the alignment straight down the middle between Junior's shots. So instead of coming across to hit the jaw across here, he moved across and went straight and just got bang on the money. It was a beautiful strike, and that's what sent him down. And then they got the TKO, just a barrage of strikes really from Stipe. And now Stipe, 4 knockouts in a row. He's now, probably they want to try and match him up with Cain next. That'll be their goal. And then now that the question is for Stipe is, how well can you stop the wrestling? That's Cain's goal. Cain will come in and he will grind out Stipe. He will get the takedowns and grind him. Stipe's going to have to do sprawling all day long to then open him up with strikes. He can't just come in there with those barrage of strikes to expect him to not change level and take him down. So that's the next fight, probably for Stipe, unless maybe Derek Lewis or Francis Ngannou can do something wild in their fights and get these big finishes, and maybe one of them two could step in if Cain isn't fit, or there's a reason why Cain's not able to step up and take on Stipe. But again, that's way in the future, ladies and gentlemen, so we won't talk about that fight. But let's go ahead to this weekend. Like I said, there's a handful of solid promotions doing shows. You've got Titan FC, you've got Titan FC, Shamrock FC. They've got their shows on, and you've also got Invicta FC kicking off as well on the weekend. Which I love when the ladies are stepping into town. It's always good. You've got one of the most exciting fighters in the world, and Andrea Lee. She is a great addition to MMA. I love watching this girl fight. She's so aggressive, and you got Roxanne Modafferi, who's just a sweetheart, absolute sweetheart. You got Tiffany Van Sweest, who's a kickboxing monster. Can she get that win? A pro win? Can she get that Muay Thai to go in and work for her? Titan FC, Invicta FC. Definitely a card worth watching. And you got Bellator, Bellator 179. There's a couple of joke names that got onto the Bellator card, but bide, forget that. Let's look at the fights that you should be looking forward to. You've got Paul Daly taking on Rory McDonald. Like, that alone is a fight that is I'm glad it happened. I'm glad Rory left because Paul Daly is. I'm glad Rory left the UFC. Paul Daly's one of them ones who's one of the best guys outside of the UFC. You know, everyone knows he's a knockout arse. He's a veteran in MMA. Paul Daly just hits hard and fights. You know, he will grit down and he will bang. That fight with Nick Diaz was insane. And you've got this fight now with Rory McDonald. Big questions are, okay, how does Rory take the punches? You know, it's like almost like fighting Robbie Lawler again. Will he be tactical? Will he go for the wrestling, the takedowns, jiu-jitsu, etc.? Use that to his advantage because he's definitely a superior grappler. But you know, we don't know what he's going to bring because we saw with Diego Lima, he definitely outshone Paul Daly with a bit of technical grappling and stuff like that. Is that just a blueprint? Just stick to that. Don't stand there and bang with Paul Daly because dangerous things can happen. So yeah, that is a fight I'm certainly curious to see and how that goes down. That's definitely got everyone excited for the whole weekend. That one fight alone. But if you're a Battle of the Britons person, you know, you've got Liam McGeary against Linton Vassell. I was going to say Vincent Vassell, but it's not. Linton Vassell. Big matchup because the pair of these guys, you know, they're pushing for that 205 title. And they want to get back at it. You know, Liam McGeary wants to get it back around his waist, where Linton Vassell wants that shot at that title. You know, he's not far off. The two of these guys, you know, you've got the new additions in the lightweight. You know, Brian Beatty, Phil Davis. It's a good time to be in that light heavyweight division, and these guys can really test themselves. And then, sadly, it's a Battle of Britain, but you know they do it in the States all the time, so we've got to suck it up, people. But yeah, can't wait for that one. I can't wait to see how Linton deals with the jiu-jitsu that Liam has and the length that Liam has. So that's going to be a very fun fight indeed to watch. And you got Czech Congo coming over to the UK against Saki, which I think Czech will just go and get the win. And what's the other fights you got on there? You got Kimbo Slice's son fighting on there as well. But yeah, there's a couple of fights, like I said, on there. Definitely worth looking out for. Definitely being excited about. And that's the Bellator card happening in the UK, which is on tape delay, which it's not surprising. They still haven't figured out how to get live fights on TV. You have to tape delay it still. It's ridiculous in this day and age that Bellator can't figure that out. But anyway, that's this week's podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back again next week. Sorry about being offline, but sadly this camera that I'm on now, I didn't have one. The camera wasn't working. It was an absolute pain in the ass. It kept breaking on me, so I didn't actually have anything to do this with. So it's all sorted and fine and dandy.